Yeah, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Shooting the Shit Uncensored. It is me, your host, the dad bod god, the bald, the beard, and the fucking beautiful Piers Austin. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I have a very special guest. I've got Dirty Ron fucking McDonald on the show, and I'm excited to have him on. Pardon me. There's a lot for us to get covered in this conversation. I'm excited to have him on, and we'll get into that in just a second. But before we do, I need to take a quick second to tell you about Sleefs. That's SLEEFS, sleefs.com. If you or someone you know is an athlete, you need to check out Sleefs. They've got all your athletic wear and gear covered. They've got armbands, compression pants, compression shorts, compression socks, headbands, boots, mouth guards, and they've even got those dirty boxes you always hear me raving about. Guys, these dirty boxes are the most comfortable boxes that I own. They stay dry. They stay fresh. You know, I'm a busy guy. I work full time. I podcast a lot. I go to the gym. I got 3 kids. I'm always on the go, and these dirty boxes never let me down. And they've got funky designs on the front, so when the belt buckle comes undone at the end of the day, that special person in your life is laughing on what's on the front of your boxes, not what's inside them. So check out sleeps.com. You check out those dirty boxes. Use promo code MWAPOD to get a 10% discount, baby, on your final purchase. But guys, wherever you are finding us, I appreciate it. Please make sure you click like, share, subscribe, all that good shit on YouTube. If you're listening on a podcast platform, please give us a 5-star review. I appreciate it. It helps us out a great deal. But guys, without further ado, let's get into my conversation with Ron motherfucking McDonald, baby. Dirty Ron, thank you for coming on the show.
Ooh, yeah. Piers Austin coming to you live from the world-famous OB Wrestle House in Ocean Beach, San Diego, California. Thank you for having me. You know, I feel like I finally made it because a guy named Piers is interviewing me. So fucking let's rock and roll, big doggy.
That's it, man. Thank you for coming on the show, man. As you're, blazing up that blunt, bro.
I haven't come on the show yet, but you know, you can't see what's going on below my waist, so you know, who knows where I'll be coming. But yeah, fuck yeah, man. I'm glad to be here, my man.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming on, man. But dude, you know, like I was looking into, you know, your history, man, and you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but you know, started wrestling in 2015, started promoting in 2015 as well. Like, did you always have that mindset of like going, okay, I want to get in the wrestling business and start my promotion like instantly, and I want to start something for myself, or was it just like happenstance and coincidence?
Well, actually, I started wrestling in July of the year 2000 in St. Louis, Missouri. I started training with Matt Seidel, Delirious, Mischief, Daisy Hayes, the Diamondback Dingo, who is from St. Louis, not Australia. But you know, I had a little. I was 16 years old when I got trained. I had my first match when I was 17. So like, you know, I wrestled from like 2001 to 2006. That's when my road buddies Delirious and Matt Seidel went there. You know, Seidel went to WWE, Delirious went to Ring of Honor, and you know, I just wasn't really motivated to go out on the road by myself because we were all about the same height. And since I was like in my late teens, early 20s, we're about the same size. So I was like, well, these guys barely are making it as small guys. Because I mean, remember back in the early 2000s, there was only one Rey Mysterio, you know, like, and Matt Seidel kind of like had that progression of Rey Mysterio in WWE because there wasn't really a guy his size in 2007 out there, but I quit wrestling. I started promoting a little bit. I was running my own marketing company for pizza places and stuff. So I've been in and out of wrestling. I had a gimmick that I was a cow with actual squirting udders. It wrestled for ICPs, Juggalo Championship Wrestling, wrestled a few of the Gathering of the Juggalos. But my most recent run has been my longest, my most consistent as a wrestler and a promoter. But to answer your question, I learned early on that if you want to do something right, you got to do it yourself. So, I promoted my own comedy tours where I did 16 states in the year 2016. I was Afro Man's tour manager, because I got high, because for like 2.5 years, I cold called venues and we did tours all around the country, like I said, my stand-up comedy tour. So, I learned early on that if I was going to do something, don't sit around and wait for it to happen. I mean, sure, it takes a lot of talent to make it in the entertainment world, but it takes more hustle. So, I built my little venue here. I put my little tours on. I've produced over 3,000 shows in the last 20 years across 20 different states. So, as an entertainer and producer and like that, it's you want to do it for yourself, but it's more rewarding to do it for other people. Now I work with a lot of young wrestlers that, weren't necessarily taught how to manipulate emotions, how to, really be a character, how to connect with people. You learn cool moves and shit like that. But the art of all entertainment is connecting with the audience, making them feel something, like a politician or a clergyman. You got to make them feel something that is real, that's not real.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing with wrestling that sometimes can be lost is like the psychology of emotion in what you're delivering. Like I think now, and I think you see like big in the indies, is like there's a lot of cool moves and a lot of cool spots and high flying and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, you know what I mean? Like I kind of watch it as like, and you see like a bigger performer just like overselling for a smaller performer. It's just these little things where it's like, man, he's giving too much. Like do less and it means more.
Well, not only, I mean, because look at it. If you want to grow your audience, you got to look outside of who your audience already is. If I put on a wrestling show, okay, it just said 2 months in advance, it says wrestling on the poster, no wrestlers or nothing, there's going to be a certain amount of people that come. Now, if you add certain characters onto that wrestling show, that's going to also help draw, right? But, there aren't a lot of people, not a lot of wrestlers out there these days, I really think, understand how to create and grow your audience, right? How to get those outside people. So where do all those people that were watching the Monday Night Wars, where are they at? Well, they're bored with watching guys that are, 5'7", 8", weighing 150, 60 pounds, going out there beating on a guy Brian Cage's size. Like shit, okay, we can all be fucking Marvel heroes if we want, but we're not. We're simulating fighting. So it's and plus it doesn't make more sense if a guy like Marco Stunt kicks Brian Cage 27 times before he's able to do a move. Yeah. If he kicks him twice, the fuck are we do? What kind of magic powers does this guy have? No offense.
No, I get it, man. And you talk about growing your audience and expanding your audience. You mentioned doing comedy tours and doing stand-up comedy. I think that those are the two. Like I think wrestling, comedy, and music are the three things that really tie in together that can really mesh well together. Because I think comedy and wrestling, when it's good, it's great. And you can bring those comedic fans along to the journey to the pro wrestling, and they can get involved and get, emotionally connected to that as well.
For sure.
Same with music, I think. Like it's very similar audiences.
Very similar and very, very similar in the structure of the whole industry. Stand-up comedy, you're emotionally naked. You're on stage, you're by yourself. It's all up to you. There's not an influence. There's not a whole band playing. With wrestling, we're mostly naked. So there are a lot of similarities. But what I found touring music, comedy, and wrestling all in my life substantially is that when you hit a lick on the guitar, people are like, oh, that's awesome. I can't do that. When somebody sees me body slam, 400-pound Brawling Bo Cooper on XPW's Night of Reckoning, they're like, oh shit, well, 200-pound dude just body slam a 400-pound dude. That's awesome. I can't do that. But in comedy, we're so disrespected because they're like, I can be funnier than that motherfucker. Like, oh, my friends tell me I'm funny. I'm like, yo, man, here's the hard thing. You got to make strangers laugh. You know, like make a stranger laugh. You make your mom laugh, make your friends laugh, make a stranger laugh. It's the most disrespected art form out there, but it's also the most rewarding. I wrestled on Monday Night Raw. You know, I've been in front of a few thousand people at some festivals and fairs. But I tell you, the most rewarding thing is getting a room of 20 strangers to go, that shit was funny. You know?
Yeah. And I think that's the thing, like with stand-up like comedy, and I think people in general, it's like, yeah, you can tell a funny joke. Right. But stand-up comedy isn't really getting up there and just reciting jokes. It's almost like, I think it's an art form in itself, really, because you have to be able to tell stories, not just sit there and go, so why did the chicken cross the road? Why did you know what I mean? Because you can't ask questions to a room full of people because everyone's going to yell out random fucking shit at you. So it's really got to be funny antidotes, which are stories. And I think that the most successful comedians, like same with professional wrestling, dig into who the performer actually is and experiences that they've had in life that have been funny.
You know, that's what it's about, connecting with your audience. It's about knowing who your audience is, helping grow that audience, but helping also feed that audience. You know, like you said, with stand-up comedy, it's one of those things where, you know, you're out there by yourself, you're telling your own ideas. You know, if that shit doesn't work, just like wrestling, it's like, oh man, so it was all on you, dude. You know,
it was
all on you.
Exactly, man. But
it's scary sometimes.
It is, man. But like, as far as stand-up comedy goes, like, when you first did that, like, what do you think like was more challenging, learning to wrestle or learning to be a stand-up comic?
Without a doubt, stand-up comedy. Without a doubt. Before the pandemic, I was on stage 6 to 12 times every week for over 6 years, and I'm still not good. Because you have to understand your audience. And here's the thing: if you, I'm just using this for instance. If you hear Joe Rogan, or you're like, oh, I know Joe Rogan, I like Joe Rogan, I already think he's funny. Whatever he says, I'm gonna laugh, right? You know, nobody knows who I am when I go up and do stand-up comedy. So it's like, not only do I gotta tell good jokes and be funny and all that, I gotta get these people to like me in 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds. So the first thing that I gotta say has to set such an impression that they're like, all right, cool. You know, I've been in front of big ass audiences, gone right after a really good comedian, come up with a new joke or, something I'm trying out for the first time, and it bombs. And I'm sitting up there for 10, 15 minutes to fucking nothing, going, what the fuck is going on? I'll give you a good story. So there's this black comedy room in Vegas, and I love doing black or urban comedy rooms, whatever you want to call them. I'm from St. Louis. I did a lot of black rooms out there. It's cool to say that. Okay. So, but what it is that people that, have a little bit harder lives, they'll laugh at shit, man. They think shit's funny. Right. So I did this black room in Las Vegas. And the first time I went there, I popped in, I wasn't even part of the show, and I crushed it. 400 people, and I'm the only white dude there, right? So I'm murder, right? So like, all right, come back here in a month. We're gonna pay you for travel. We're gonna put you up in a hotel. We're gonna pay you really well. This is the first time anybody paid for travel, paid me for the show, and put me in my hotel. So I was like, fuck yeah, right? So I'm up there, and they only gave me 12 minutes. 6 minutes in, murdering, right? Okay. And then I was doing this joke at the time where I was like, who voted for Donald Trump? Knowing generally at comedy shows, nobody's gonna go, I did, right? So, and I was in a black room. So I was like, who voted for Donald Trump? And I got really cocky. So I put the mic out because I knew it was going to be crickets, right? I knew that was part of the joke. And some dude was like, you did. And I was like, oh, I voted for Donald Trump. That's what he said. And now for the next 6 minutes, I was like, I swear to God, I didn't, just basically trying to prove that to myself I wasn't racist or something. I don't know. And for the next 6 minutes, there was just nothing. And then the host goes back up there and she was like, something about, oh, this cracker motherfucker. And I was like, oh, and they all like laughed at her. So I was like, oh, fuck, am I going to get out of here? Am I going to get paid and all this shit? But, dude, comedy, it can turn on you in a heartbeat.
Yeah, dude, I feel that as well, man, especially because I think, as you said, it's one of the most disrespected crafts. And I think that people, I've been to some stand-up comedy shows and open mic nights where it's like people getting up there for the first time, right?
Ooh.
And you see people do it, but there's motherfuckers in the crowd heckling.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, really, bro? Really? Like, dude, I'll tell you a funny story, right? Like, back in years ago, I used to do security in this club in King's Cross in Sydney.
Okay.
And it was on a Monday night, pissing down rain. It was open mic night. I'm standing on the door, whatever. There was like 20 people inside, fucking dead. This person comes up to me in an American accent and says, "Hello, sir. How are you today?" And I've turned around and I'm face to face with Robin fucking Williams.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I'm like, "Oh shit, you're Robin Williams." And he goes, "Yeah, and you're the smallest fucking bouncer I've ever seen." And yeah, we had a bit of a laugh, and he goes in and he got up in front of 20 people and did a 45-minute random stand-up set.
Mm-hmm.
That was just off the cuff in front of 20 people. And I'm like,
Man.
and like, that was like, that is just something fucking special.
Robin Williams was something special, man. You know, that's just some guy who, you know, you just, you know, I never had the privilege of meeting Robin Williams, but you can just tell by the way that you hear stories about him or just see the way that he acts, you know, just somebody that can just light up a room, you know, like that's, you know, him, George Carlin, you know, these are the people that I grew up on, you know, watching do stand-up comedy, you know, and it's like, you know, I always respected stand-up comedy, and I started it just to like supplement my wrestling. You know, I still, like, I'm doing a stand-up comedy show tonight when we're done with this thing at my spot here. And, you know, I'm still on stage like 3-4 times a week. You know, comedy something I'm gonna never let go because it's an art form. It really tests your brain, tests your might, and tests how you can read a crowd. And, you know, like if you can make strangers laugh, that's a skill.
Oh, dude, 100%, man. But how did you come up with the Dirty Ron McDonald gimmick? Because I'm surprised no one's done something similar like this before, bro. Because like I quite enjoy it. When I first started seeing the gimmick, bro, I was fucking straight away. I started popping for that shit. How did you come up with it, and what was the main thing going into it?
Well, first of all, I got red hair. So, you know, people always tell me I look like every redheaded motherfucker that they've ever seen, from the little orphan Annie to Danny Bonaducci to fucking the ugly bitch from Sex and the City. I've heard it all, man. So, you know, when I started Fist Combat in January 2007, the idea was I wanted to do adult shows. I wanted to do shows in bars, mainly because I realized early on in promoting, do you want to rent a venue? No. You want to pay nothing for a venue. So bars and nightclubs, they're already open. So like you don't have to pay them to get in. They'll pay you to get in. You know, in some places I got a cut of the bar and didn't have to pay rent. So I'm up, whereas certain promoters got to pay for the ring, got to pay for the, you know, the building, got to pay for this, got to pay for that, got to pay for a bartender, got to pay for concessions, all that, whatever. I never had to do that, you know, really never had to do that. But when I was in NorCal, I was looking for a place to do that, and it didn't really work, you know. And then my wife and I decided, hey, we need to move to a market that's better suited for independent wrestling. So we decided Vegas or San Diego, and here we moved. So once we moved down here, I was like, I want to finally do the concept of Fist Combat that I always wanted to be. Adult shows, 21 and up, you know, getting drunk, like literally on our poster says, get drunk and heckle. You know, you can't heckle a comedy show. Good luck heckling a music show. You know, if you do that at church, they'll kick you the fuck out. We love that shit though. Get drunk, heckle the wrestler, be a part of the show. So, you know, that's the gimmicks I wanted to do. I want to have like an MC more than a ring announcer, you know, like it's a good old time. So I was like, let me do a character that is suited for an adult audience. So Dirty Ron McDonald was only supposed to last 6 months. All my initial offense was unique ways to kick somebody in the balls and not get disqualified. That's my whole offense. That was it.
Yeah.
All I was doing. I even had my gimmick. I had my whole gear made for my next character. I was ready to move. It was 6 months and dead. So somebody was like, you know what? You should get t-shirts. I think people would buy them. So I bought 100 t-shirts right before the Gathering of the Juggalos, July 2017. And I sold them motherfuckers in like, you know, 2 weeks, 100 t-shirts. And I was like, well, let's see if this Dirty Ron thing works. You know, it just caught on to people. You know, I come out and I say, my name's Dirty Ron McDonald. I came here to do, my name is Dirty Ron McDonald. I'm so filthy. I make Ric Flair look like Mr. Clean. You know, like I came here to do 3 things. Number 1, get fucked up. Number 2, fuck somebody up. And number 3, when I'm done with that, I'm fucking all your girlfriends, all your side bitches, all your pieces, all your dime pieces. I'm fucking them all, right? And I said that because Dirty Ron McDonald is obviously a bad guy. But people were like shortly after I started doing that, people were like, hell yeah, hey, fuck my girlfriend. So, Dude, I don't know. Maybe I think really now after being the character for more than almost 5.5 years now, I'm like,
Yeah.
I am Dirty Ron McDonald. Like it can tell you in wrestling, like just take you and turn it up to 11, right? And that's really what this character is. Like it's everything that, like I love about wrestling. Wild fucking, you don't know what the fuck's gonna happen. When like, oh, look right in the camera with those big old eyes, get all amped up for promos. That's the shit that I love about wrestling and wrestlers is connecting. And shit, I notice now in indie shows, nobody's getting on the microphone. Like, it's your biggest asset right there. How are you gonna get to connect with somebody if they don't know anything about you, or if you're there to fuck their girlfriend or not?
Yeah, exactly. I feel like that, like the art of promos, like especially at indie shows, and I watch a lot of like wrestling from around the world, and I feel like that's the stuff that the promos can really sort of draw the fans in as well, because it's like the casual audience isn't going to be able to want to sit there and watch a 20-minute like chain wrestling match. You know what I mean? Like,
fuck no.
For an indie wrestling show, but like a promo, something like that gets them invested. It's like, why am I hating this person? Why do I give a fuck about this person?
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's why as a promoter, I do the simple things. My shows last 2.5 hours with a 15-minute intermission in the middle. We have 5 matches. That's it. The heel almost comes out first every time. Why? Because hate is stronger than love, whether you want to admit it or not. So when that motherfucker comes out, you're like, yo, I fucking hate that motherfucker. I don't care who comes out next. I want to see that person beat the shit out of that person. And that's why I force all my guys on my shows to fucking cut promos. And when I started doing that, now they're cutting promos for other promotions. And now, like now they're selling merch and shit like that. I'm like, guys, it's not hard. I moved to San Diego in February 2017, knew 0 motherfucking people. Now I make a full ass living of being a professional wrestler, stand-up comedian, and event producer at my little fucking warehouse here, a couple blocks from the beach.
That's cool as fuck, man. But man, you're rocking out with the XPW merch on there, bro. Like, how did the opportunity to work for XPW come about, man?
Well, 8 billion years ago, there was a big bang, and there was an explosion. An explosion ended up bringing us right up into the 2020s, and it was inevitable from the time of the Big Bang to here we are now. Dirty Ron McDonald being a part of the most innovative, in your face, don't give a shit, we're characters, and you're gonna see a wild ass fucking show. XPW, the land of extreme. And growing up, I always saw, I started getting a tape trading when I was like 13, 14, got a lot of FMW, Exploding Ring, some Big Japan, fucking, Piranha death matches and shit. I was like, yo, this spectacle shit is dope, right? You got a motherfucker hitting dude with a sickle in the guts, And so then, obviously I caught on to ECW. But then ECW's the next step up was XPW. I mean, it was like ECW with porn stars. Like, how could you not dig that shit? So I'm buying these VHSs when I'm 14, 15 years old from Sam Goody in the mall. I love the XPW, and just to hear stories of Rob Black, I was like, like you might hear some shit. Oh, he had somebody's thumb cut off or some shit. He said some shit on some national TV show and ended up going to jail for like a year or something. That's somebody I want to know. So straight up, man, I surround myself with the most interesting motherfuckers on the planet. Like shit, guys like Necro Butcher, Schlack, Masada. These are guys that I fucking cherish just being around. You know what I'm saying? But XPW. So Kevin Kleinrock, who was Rob Black's right hand man back in the day, was the the innovator of Wrestling Society X on MTV. Great motherfucking dude. Mass Republic. They're all over the place. I think they got slot machines now. But I've worked with Kevin Kleinrock a bunch, and I guess when him and Rob were talking, in 2020, 2021 about XPW coming back, Kevin was like, yo, you got to check out this Dirty Ron McDonald, crazy motherfucker. I think he'll fit right up in the alley. And I did this big old, right when COVID restrictions released last summer, we had a big old alley party, and we had like 1,000 people in my alley. And the big draw was like me fighting this dude, getting my title back every 6 months of shit. So I ended up jumping off the hardware store roof. It was like a legit 20-foot drop. And bow, elbow drop right in the middle of this fucking table, exploded. It was hanging off the rim right before it did. I saw that and I was like, oh, like this could work out horribly because that table broke before I jumped. I was just gonna jump on him and the remnants, but did that, and that got some attention. And then right after that, Rob had messaged me. He's like, hey, like I'm thinking about getting XPW back together. Just wanted to see what was up. And like, dude, going into your requests messages and seeing a message in there from Rob Black, you're like, who's ribbing me, right? And then and I hit up Kevin and I was like, Kevin, you know what's going on with this? He goes, yeah, I told him about you or whatever. So, to get the opportunity and to hear Rob Black say to me in part, a couple of times, and I know he said it on his podcast, the cornerstone of where XPW's at, guys like me, Schlack, Masada, Sage Sin, Taya Valkyrie, the people that, these are the guys in XPW. And I know that there's more than that, but, to hear that and know that and understand what they're all about, characters, like pushing the envelope, kind of like, hey, suck my dick, kind of, suck it from the back, motherfucker, you got a problem with us. So, I don't know. And to work with somebody like Rob Black, who has that attitude, who has that, hey man, you got a problem with me? Fuck you. Maybe there's just a little bit too much truth that comes out of that guy's mouth. And we all know people don't like hearing the truth. People want to be coddled. People want to hear that. Yes. People want to hear, like, oh, what you're doing is good, even if it sucks. We all want to meddle. Fuck that shit, man. If you suck, if you're not connecting with people, then fuck off. But XPW, the thing that's different about us is our TV show blows every fucking TV show out of the water. It's basically like a reality show about how to run an independent wrestling promotion mixed in with all the pay-per-view matches. But also that you're gonna start to notice they're using people you don't see on every fucking indie show. Look at, we can name them, all the promotions. Think about the top 5, 6 indie promotions you see running the most shows. They all use the same goddamn wrestlers. So I think that you're going to start seeing less of that with XPW. I know that we make each show a spectacle by building it up with our weekly TV show. Again, best weekly TV show in wrestling today. It's for free on Fight. But yeah, man, we're different. We're trying to do shit different. We're trying to make each event something big and important. And that's why they only happen every 6 to 8, 9, 10 weeks. But I mean, as soon as we hit Halloween hell here, we got a show every other month. East Coast, West Coast, East Coast, West Coast, East Coast, West Coast, East Coast, West Coast, and then the world.
Do you because XPW back in the day was, very taboo, obviously with the connection through Extreme Associates, etc. But like in 2022, where post speaking out, and how society is really now, do you think XPW has to change a lot of the ways that they were from back in the day to now?
I mean, besides having a character called the Hardcore Homo, like that was a real character that they had. I don't think they're stupid. They're not trying to push the envelope like that. Like, sure, we like to say you can't cancel what's already been canceled. We like to really like show off that we're like, yo, we don't give a fuck. But let me tell you that, like, nobody in their right mind is gonna, go out there and drop the N-bomb and stupid shit. Like, we're not gonna do shit to really to turn everybody. Like, I think there's a real distinction, and it is a niche. XPW is a niche, just like AEW is a niche.
Yeah.
We have that niche. We got our hardcore fans, but we're really, we're gonna start seeing that group grow. But there's nothing that I think that is in the works of the idea of, we need to jump the shark, or we need to really test the waters. What I'm saying? Like, is that kind of what you're at? Like,
Yeah.
Like, there's not going to be gangbangs in the backstage area like there was the first time around. I don't think so. Like, there's not tons of porn stars hanging out there. Like, everybody pretty much got the clothes on all the time. So, yeah, I don't think that there's any plans to super push the envelope. But we're gonna ride that line for sure.
Yeah, and I think that there's a fine line where you can ride that down. But for yourself, deathmatch wrestling, man, what is it about deathmatch wrestling that intrigues you and sort of draws you into it?
Well, I'm a ginger, and I got a higher pain tolerance. I don't know. No, it always attracted me because of the spectacle of it, because when I was I saw every WrestleMania live. I'm 39 years old. My parents had parties that have, WrestleMania. Of course, first WrestleMania I remember watching was WrestleMania 3, bits and pieces, but deathmatch wrestling, because I was watching everything, WCW, and WWE, anything I get my hands on at the video mart. But deathmatch wrestling was just like, oh, whoa, like this is some shit that like not everybody can do, not everybody will do. And it's like, oh, wow. And to me, it was like I had already seen everything that I knew about wrestling. I'd seen Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart. I had seen Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant, King Kong Bundy and Earthquake and all these guys. Yeah, that's cool. But I can't be Hulk Hogan. I can't be Ricky Steamboat. As much as the Macho Madness. I am not Macho Man Randy Savage. So what could I do to step out? Like I was saying earlier about Seidel and Delirious. The first time I quit in 2006, it was like, all right, where do I even fit in? What am I going to be? The 273rd best Rey Mysterio that there's only one of, there's only a second coming of Rey Mysterio. Like where am I on that list? So deathmatch wrestling. And so I did it a lot in my backyard days when I was 15, 16. Like that's all we did with light tubes, all that shit, thumbtacks, all that. So I knew I could take it. I've always dug it too. And now it's a spectacle. So like, I see the way that people react to it. And honestly, like I don't mind getting bloody and taking that shit where people go, ooh, ah. It helps me sell shirts and shit too.
I feel like deathmatch wrestling was big in like the early 2000s, early 2000s, late 90s. And then a few years after that, probably like 2007, 2008, it sort of like fell to the wayside where it was almost like the redheaded stepchild. No pun
Watch your
intended.
mouth.
But, and then
only
like,
I can say that.
And then about 2016, 2017, I think like it started to sort of build back up again to now where it's like you see a lot more like technical performers or hybrid performers wanting to come in and dabble in deathmatch wrestling. Like I think it's like I don't want to say the flavor of the month, but it's like I think it's at a very high popularity point.
There's a reason for that. And let me tell you, I'm explaining the reason for that. Okay. Because, and like you said, the first wave when it was popular early 2000s and it died off, now it's getting popular now. What was going on at the same time in the wrestling world, right? All these motherfuckers all these motherfuckers getting signed up to AEW and MLW and NWA and, all the promotions that are signing people to contracts. So what was left on the independent scene? Death matches. That's it. Like, they signed everybody from fucking Marco Stunt and MJF all the way up to Brian Cage. Who the fuck's left? The Nick Cages, the fucking, all these other guys that are doing deathmatch wrestling, John Wayne Murdoch and shit like that. That's all that was left on the independent scene. So like, and then, what I'm saying? Like, so I think deathmatch wrestling is the flavor now because, like as far as that's what's out there on the independent scene. Like what else is left? Everybody's all signed up to here, signed up to there. And now it is the flavor of the month. And you do see guys trying to jump on that, like, but it's just like when celebrities try to jump up and do stand-up comedy, like, you're a fucking hack, like, sure, you'll get the spot because you can draw some eyes to what you're doing, but I hope you know that you're kind of taking over our fucking thing. And, thanks David Arquette for almost getting stabbed in the fucking neck and bleeding out for a deathmatch wrestling. Boy, what awesomeness that would have been, if he bled out some more. Anyway, but I'm glad people coming into the deathmatch scene and, helping it as far as, some notoriety and stuff like that. But, there's a select few of us, not a select few, there's a small group of us that take deathmatch wrestling serious. And what I mean by that is, of course, we're all fighting in our fancy underwear. So how serious can you take this shit? But deathmatch wrestling, it needs to have a story, like using weapons and using elements to bring you close to death, to tell a story, that you still have to have that, and I feel like now that it is the flavor of the month, you got a lot of people doing this shit, and and it like they're just doing it for the sake of doing it. It's almost like doing moves for the sake of moves. This shit gets boring. Tell a story with it, I wrestled Nick Gage twice. The story we told both times was amazing, and now I'm 0-1, looking to to even that thing out. Like I had a great match with Schlack at the King of the Death match in April for XPW. Like if you tell a story with it, then it can be almost better than regular wrestling because you're willing to get your opponent to near death, and your opponent's like, I'm gonna risk my life to win this match, And then sometimes you just got people just throwing weapons at each other and carving each other up with shark teeth, and what?
Yeah, like I when I was younger, I loved deathmatch wrestling. Like I was always hooked on it. Like I couldn't get enough of it. Tape trading, I was buying XPW, CCW tapes. Before there was an internet, I'd fucking call the United States and be buying tapes over the phone to get them over. As I've gotten older, I kind of I still have an appreciation for deathmatch wrestling, but I'm more selective of what I like to sit down and watch. Like there's good wrestling in every genre. Bad deathmatch wrestling is like bad comedy wrestling. It's fucking terrible. But good deathmatch wrestling is like good comedy wrestling. It's fucking brilliant.
Right. Yeah. And I would like to think that, seeing a picture, painting a picture, and really understanding what it's just telling a story regardless, realizing what your attributes are and matching those up against your opponent. For instance, at XPW's Night of Reckoning, I fought Braun Bo Cooper. He weighs in at 415 pounds. I'm coming in a little over 200 pounds. So, there's a 200-pound weight difference. So, I think the story that we told with that, anybody could understand that story. Here I come at him first real hard because why? Because I better hit this motherfucker hard. Otherwise, I'm going to be avoiding him the entire match. It didn't work out for me. He had me. Oh, I slipped out of something because he took too much time fucking with the audience. Now I'm hitting the shit out of this guy. His manager grabs me. That distracts me enough for this big motherfucker to hit me hard again. And we're doing all these things while I didn't even tell you about the light tubes I got smashed with at the beginning of that, or the thumbtacks that I body slammed his ass onto later. And I didn't have to because a story's a story. But being able to be like, all right, yo, I'm gonna kill this motherfucker. I'm gonna throw this motherfucker on this big old pile of thumbtacks because I need him to stay down and I'm willing to do anything. So, end of the match, what do? I'm not just giving you a regular elbow drop. I'm lighting that motherfucker on fire. Ooh, yeah, fire from the heavens. Bow, And I think it adds that element of telling a story and talking about those outside fans that aren't diehard fans of wrestling, seeing that you're like, oh, how's this little guy gonna beat this big guy? Like, how's it even possible? Oh shit. Oh, he did that. Oh fuck. Oh man, he lit his elbow on fire. What the fuck? So no matter what, wrestling with a story is better. And I love deathmatch wrestling because I think we have the ability to tell a more intense story than a non-death match.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think that there's there's ways to do it well, and like I said, the old sort of like you're seeing more better like quality of wrestling matches with deathmatch wrestling. I feel like in the last few years than what you did years ago, than guys that are just walking around the ring, that are out of shape and just like doing stuff like that. Like I've seen some shocking stuff over the years where it's like you sit down and watch it, it's like, man, I don't want to see someone just carve their fucking themselves up.
For sure, I like you gotta hide that shit. You don't want to see nobody see that shit. It's stupid. There's this one thing in deathmatch wrestling I fucking hate where they'll like hand you some shit and they expect you to sit there and hold it while they do something. I'm like, where the fuck would you hold that shit? Have you seen this thing? They're like, boom, you're on the ground. They're like, oh, here's all these light tubes here. Hold them. Like, what do you mean hold them? Like, what? Like, I'm gonna throw these motherfuckers right back at you, man. Like, because some of the shit doesn't make sense. But good deathmatch wrestling is great wrestling.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that,
Love
man.
The deathmatch.
Getting into the indie wrestling, like a little while ago, a few months back, you made some accusations that came out about Game Changer Wrestling, Brett Lauderdale. COVID shows every performer needed to have a positive, negative COVID test to perform on the show. The accusations came out. A few GCW wrestlers came and responded to that. Brett Lauderdale.
Oh, were there any of the GCW wrestlers that I said that did that? No, they weren't. But keep going.
Brett Lauderdale pretty much refused to comment. But like, what happened there? Like, what was the whole story behind that? Like, can you give us the breakdown?
Whole story. I helped Brett Lauderdale and GCW get their first venue here in LA, I believe in 2018 when they did their first show in LA in that big warehouse where all the walls were white. I facilitated getting that. Why? Because I wanted to help Game Changer Wrestling build a market, not only in Los Angeles, but also San Diego, because I helped that. I know that would benefit me, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Fast forward, I do 5 co-promoted events with them where I help with flights, help bring their guys out, but booked them down here in San Diego, even on shows where I barely made money. Why? Again, I'm helping them build a market out here in LA and in San Diego so they can have a double shot out here. Otherwise, he's flying all these guys out here for one show and they're dipping back. Follow me so far?
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So I do this co-promoted show with him in September last year. And, basically there was a trade where he was already, like I said, already flying his guys here and back. So I was like, hey, could you pay for the flights? I will pay for the live stream and we'll put it on the GCW YouTube page. That was the deal. He said, yes. We got like 25,000 people watching that shit live because it was free on the GCW YouTube page. So that's what it was. So then I brought his guys back here in December, and all of a sudden I got wrestlers from GCW saying that Brett says I'm cheap. Brett says that I'm, that I'm trying to get one over on him. I'm hearing this from some of the boys, and I'm like, where the fuck is this coming from? Nick Gage is my friend. And I'm like, Nick, where's this coming from? And, and Nick didn't really have too much of an opinion, but like some of my boys, some of the boys that might be, not in first gear, not in third gear. I'll let you fill in the blanks. Are whispering to me about how there's a bunch of shit's being talked about me. So I was like, what the fuck? So blah, blah, blah. That happens. I'm like, I ain't working with this guy anymore. There's no reason to. Then this was December last year. So now we get to May of this year, and his LA Fights shows, he uses a lot of the same guys that I do. And this was the third time in like 4 months that he would hit up guys I had booked for months, hit them up the night before his show and go, hey, come do my show. And they would cancel their booking on me, which is, shit happens. Yeah. But eventually I got tired of it. And I was like, all right, man, I just got it. How does this not feel personal? How does this not feel like now after a bunch of your boys are telling me that rumors are going around that I'm cheap, that I'm, trying to get one over or some shit, which again, I have no idea where that's coming from. That, like you're trying to book, who I got booked on my shows, and you're taking them and asking me to be on your shows, and they're taking it, I can't be mad at them. It's an opportunity to wrestle in front of 40 people at a LA Fight show to, 17 people watching the live stream. It's an opportunity, let me tell you. So I got pissed off and I was like, you know what? Fuck this motherfucker. I got dirt on this motherfucker. You know what? And I don't give a shit because the promoter code. You don't do that shit. You don't book other people's dudes. So here's what I knew. And here's the first time I'm telling anybody exactly what the fuck happened. Okay. I was at a show October 2020 at this ranch out here in Orange County in California. There was a GCW show. I brought Sabu in to do these podcasts I did with him. So Brett was like, oh, can I use Sabu? Brett didn't give me no fucking money for a flight. Didn't give me no money for a hotel. I paid for all that shit for Sabu. All right. Anyway. So I'm at that show and I have somebody with me in my crew. Okay. That is a Photoshop genius. All right. So I find out at the show that Brett said aloud, hey, does anybody know how to do Photoshop? And the person in my crew said, I'm a fucking gangster at that shit. So unbeknownst to me, Brett has this person make these things, whatever, I find out about it. Right. And I'm like, oh, okay. And here's what I know for a fact. I know whatever wrestlers did, in fact, have fake COVID tests made for them. They didn't have them made for them. Brett, unbeknownst to those wrestlers, had them made because those wrestlers didn't have them. And instead of not booking these wrestlers he had already flown out there, Brett took it upon himself to do some shady ass shit and get somebody to do that. That person I know that person. I have no idea how to do Photoshop. I've never made no fucking nothing, right? So I knew all this shit. And then when Brett needed that again, Brett hit me up because he doesn't have a direct connection to this person. So I made that connection again for Brett. Again, never made anything. Never touched a fucking Photoshop file a day in my life. So, Brett is out, and here was the thing too, man. He's out here painting himself a fucking, I'm an outlaw. How the fuck can you be an outlaw when you're backstage at WrestleMania sucking Stephanie McMahon's dick on some comp she gave you? Fucking outlaw. You are the mainstream now, Brett. Whatever. I worked with them, it didn't end up going well. And I'd still love to hear what the fuck I did. I still don't know. But I just got sick of it. And I was like, you know what? Fuck this dude. He's going to book my guys and they're going to cancel on me last minute. I have 5 matches. You take 3 of my guys. Now I got to find some 3 dudes that are not booked on a Saturday last minute that are deep, that are good. Come on, dude. So, I just got sick and tired of that shit. And I called him out. Of course, he had nothing to say about it because he's fucking guilty. I watch enough Law and Order. I know. Well, first of all, I know the truth. I have access to all the files, so whatever. He's somebody that takes advantage of people, he did the same shit to the guys that run, one of these new deathmatch promotions out there. Look at all the guys that don't work there anymore. Look at all the deathmatch guys that don't work there anymore. Look at, I don't know. So, proof's in the pudding. Fucking, Brett Lauderdale is a fucking cocksucker. Whatever. But, again, I stood up for myself and I wasn't going to let this fucking asshole push me around. And I was like, you know what? Fuck him. And it was really weird because it seemed like the internet really took his side when, clearly everything I said had something to back it up.
Did you speak to a lawyer or get any legal counsel before you came out with this sort of stuff? Because in a way, like it kind of implemented yourself.
I incriminated myself. Nobody's coming after that shit. I give a fuck.
Yeah. So there's been no legal recourse from that.
Have you smoked weed somewhere where you don't supposed to smoke weed? Have you ever jaywalked? Fuck yeah, we break the rules all the time. Suck a dick. After the fact, I did talk a couple my friend lawyers, and they're like, if somebody comes after you for that, I'll give you $1 million.
Really?
Nobody's coming after. No, nobody is. Okay, nobody is. And you know what? You know who doesn't want anybody to come out about this more than anybody? Brett Lauderdale.
Yeah. So where's it at now? Is it just sort of the whole thing
dead? Yeah. Nobody gave a shit. He said nothing. Joey Janela and a couple other of his fucking little butt boys came out and were like, oh, he never did that for me. Well, hey, well, all those documents I put out, why didn't anybody ask any of those guys? But here's the thing. I'm telling you right now, it's a fact. None of those wrestlers knew fake COVID tests were being made for them. None of them. Brett did it by himself. You see what I'm saying? Brett was like, yo, I need this show to happen. I flew these guys in. I need to do something. Who knows how to do Photoshop? Hey, guys, don't worry about it. You're on the show. Why are they going to ask? They're going to ask what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. They're wrestlers. They just want to get to the booking and go forward, into the next show. Have you, once all this sort of stuff came out, did you experience lack of getting cancelled for bookings? Was there you know what I mean? Were bookings getting cancelled for you? Did you experience backlash from it?
So immediately, Whiny Demented, the guy that runs ICW. I'm sorry, is that his name? Whiny Demented? Danny Demento. That's him. Not Whiny Demented. That's just what we call him. Yeah, he canceled me. And then Ian Rotten's fucking ripping off bitch ass fucking canceled me. But let me tell you, I'm not that worried about being canceled from $100 bookings, dude. I'm working with XPW, the top deathmatch promotion in the United States by far, and we're only getting bigger and better. So, Whiny, canceled me and whatever the fuck, it ain't that big of a deal. I run my own venue here. I got shit going on in my spot 4 days a week. I make a full ass living as an entertainer. You know, I get paid very well at XPW. I do very well in merch there. You know, we got, you know, it's all good. You know, I've always had several forms of income, you know, so wrestling is I've never had to completely rely on wrestling as my livelihood. And, you know, whatever. It was going to be cool to wrestle, you know, John Wayne Murdoch for ICW. It was going to be cool to go out there and, you know, work a couple of their shows. But let's keep it real. Like, they weren't paying for my full flight. There was never that, you know, it was more me wanting to be like, hey, I want to go work these places that were asking me to work. But like, I was like, oh, I want to. And they're like, oh, well, what can you offer? And oh, you know, here's some hot dogs and handshakes.
Yeah, you had an interest. But, you know, you mentioned, you know, Ian Rotten in IWA Mid-South, and he's another guy that has recently been in the news like a few months ago for, you know, not paying guys. Jake Christ burning the belts. For everyone watching, you can check out that interview that I had with Jake Christ where he goes into detail about the burning of the belts and now making the IWA Mid-Sash. But, you know, what was your experiences like with working with, you know, Ian and doing bookings for Ian? How did you find him as a promoter?
I've never been booked by Ian Ryan except for the King of the Death match this year. However, I've refereed a couple matches on their shows when I was riding around with Delirious and Matt Seidel back in the day. But, you know, he just always seemed like a fucking, you know, a shyster and a shady person. You know, like, I'm sure there's some saying in the Bible or some shit about this, but he, you know, the devil will always have a big old smile on his face. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, you know, like all that sympathy bullshit. So, like, I saw that shit coming from a million miles away. You know, and hey, good for the fucking industry of being done with that motherfucker now. Like, I don't know him, so I can't really talk about him like that. But anybody's gonna come out here and take advantage of wrestling fans and wrestlers, like, dude, get the fuck out of here, man. You know, like, there's a guy here in San Diego. My first year here, he was a piece of shit. He was fucking over everybody. Dude owes Rey Mysterio 5 figures still from a show in 2017. And the guy who bought him his ring was like, yo, that's my ring. And I was like, what do you mean it's your ring? He goes, well, I bought that ring. And I go, well, let's fucking steal that ring. So we stole that ring. I was like, let's fucking break in there and steal that fucking ring. And we did. The best part about that is the cops called me because I made a Facebook Live video. And I go, hey, you know, I was like, oh, hey, it's the ring burglar. It's the ring burglar. You know, I just made fucking fun. It was actually most people that ever watched one of my Facebook Live videos at the time. So the cops called me and they're like, hey, this is, you know, detective, whatever. I'm looking for the ring burglar. And I was like, yeah, this is me, right? And they're like, did you take that ring? And I go, yeah, I took that ring. And they're like, well, what happened? I go, well, it wasn't that guy's ring. So, you know, like, there was a piece of shit like that we had to fucking run out of town down here. And it's like people that are fucking over fans and wrestlers. Dog, pick a side, you know?
Yeah, like it's, you know, going back to stealing the ring, like, how did you guys have to go in there and break the whole ring down, or was it already like in a store?
It was already broken down.
Yeah,
it was already broken down into pieces. I've bent a few laws and rules in my day. I don't give a shit though. I don't fucking give a shit, right? Like, hey man, you know, when you stand up for yourself, people don't like that shit. Most people just go, oh, yeah, okay, I'm just taking whatever I get. Like, fuck that, man. You know, I'm not overly aggressive when I don't need to be, but, like, I ain't going to sit here and not stand up for myself if somebody's going to try to fucking pull one over on me. I'm also 5'8" with small man syndrome, so who fucking knows, you know?
But I'm the same way in a lot of ways, man. Like, it's like, I think when you stand up for yourself, majority of people just want to go with the status quo. It's like, hey, man, I need you to do this. Don't fucking say anything else. Just say okay. Just say okay. And as soon as they go, okay, but then they're like, fuck. You know what I mean? Because now it's like I have to convince this person to do stuff.
That's the hardest thing. So my first wrestling show that I ran was in January of 2007. I was 23 years old. And it was one of the worst days of my life in the sense that I pissed off my mom and dad who came there to volunteer. I pissed off my girlfriend at the time who came to volunteer. I made all the wrestlers feel uncomfortable because I didn't understand that in order to be a leader, that not only do you have to lead by example and all those other things, you have to learn how to speak everybody's language. And even though we all speak English, everybody needs to be talked to a certain way. Everybody needs to be motivated a certain way. And there's no fucking book. There's no manual. Nobody, like, you don't open somebody's arm and go, oh, okay, here's the code. There's no fucking Nintendo game book telling you what the fucking secret codes are. You have to figure that out by trial and error. And, you know, I think that's been the most satisfying thing for me as a leader, is that I've learned to speak everybody's language. And I'm not nowhere near perfect, but to understand how to get somebody to do what you need them to do, but also giving them what they need out of something is a fucking skill. It takes a lot of practice, a lot of trial and error, a lot of, you know, like, man, people get real mad. I say the wrong things a lot, you know, but when I don't fail the same way twice, I don't make a mistake the same way twice, you know, and as long as you can identify problems and truly try to find solutions, like, that's the most satisfying shit, is learning how to talk to everybody and learning how to deal with different types of person, being a type A, whatever you want to call me, personality type myself.
Yeah, I think I think whenever you're in a leadership role or like you're managing people, you have to be able to communicate with people on all different types of levels. And I think it's the same as like if you're a coach or you're a manager or whatever it is, like you have to be able to, okay, I can speak to this person a certain way. I've got to speak to this person a certain way to so they understand what the fuck is going on or what to get across what I need from them. You know?
Without a doubt, you know, and it takes a lot to be able to be a performer in any capacity, but to be a good coach and to be a good leader is by far more challenging. And I'm nowhere near the ideal place that I want to be as a coach, leader, you know, whatever. But it's the most satisfying thing to learn and to grow every day, you know, and to learn different who to talk to, which way, and how to motivate people. And really you start to understand yourself too, you know, and I've started to understand with myself. I motivate myself by being like, oh, you're a piece of shit. You suck. Like, you need to do way better. Like, I almost strive for perfection all the time. And I don't know if that was ingrained in me in you know, in childhood or what, but like, you know, it's like, oh, you know, like, I never focus on like, oh, that was good. Like, I did good there. You know, it's always like, all right, well, what could I do better? And most people aren't, you know, most people can't handle that shit. And then it's understandable. You know, like, if you tell yourself you're a piece of shit and you're shitty all the time, you're going to feel like shit. But me, like, I don't know, I ended up turning that into, you know, motivation for me not to make the same mistakes twice, to remember why I chose that thing that didn't work out and how to choose something different. You know, but I'm a solutions guy. I've never been like, oh, here's my problems. When. I'm like, oh, wait, okay, that's a problem. That's not good. Let me solve that problem. Right?
Yeah.
Let me solve it. Let me figure out how to make it happen.
And that's what I think can make a good leader as well, you know, like, but, you know, you mentioned working for the clowns for ICW or JCW. How did you find working for Insane Clown Posse?
Well, I'm white trash from the Midwest, so big fan. And then they, you know, they are also, or we're white trash from the Midwest also. Also, we're all wrestling fans. But you know, the wrestling world's a really small community. So I had just started doing this character, Poodoo the cow, that actually had udders that squirted milk. Bro, it was fucking ridiculous. So I showed up. They came to town, whatever. This is when they were doing like you know, music in between matches and shit like that. And the matches were almost always like 4 or 5 minute garbage matches. But they came to town, and the Tomasellis were on the show. They were the Haters, I think they were called at the time, the JCW tag champs. So they're like, oh shit, you know, hey, what up, Mikey? You know, they knew me from IWA, you know, whatever. So they're like, oh, you got this cow gimmick, fucking perfect. And at the time, Jason Strife was there doing Yellow Dog and all that shit. So they're like, all right, you're gonna go against Madman Pondo, and he's a JCW champion. So my first match with them was for their, like, you know, for their top title or whatever. I mean, obviously, I didn't win. It was real close though, let me tell you. But you know, they were just looking for wild, wacky characters, and you know, after that, you know, I did well, I guess, and they were like, you know, keep coming around, you know, and that's how that shit works. You got to show up with your gear, fucking, you know, and if you're cool to be around and you're talented enough, you'll make it in entertainment. That's another thing that I figured out late. Nobody told me that. You just got to be talented enough, but what's more important is that you're cool to be around.
Yeah.
Straight up.
100%. That's
That's
it.
why
And
nobody likes CM Punk, because he's a fucking douchebag.
yeah, I mean, like, I don't know.
He's
See,
he's been a whiny cunt. He's always been a whiny cunt because we all smoked weed. So he was back in the IWA Mid South days, looking down on us. I mean, obviously, he never talked directly to me, but wrestled all my buddies, and he was just a fucking cunt all the time. The twat.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, like, I think, like, he comes across like a very arrogant sort of person as well. Like, just,
Well, that's not an act.
yeah, well, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, he comes across like, just as a dick. You know what I mean? Like, even that press conference where they're like asking questions and stuff, and he's like talking down to the fucking like reporter, and I'm like, dude, like what do you get out of that?
If you're trying to be a heel, I mean, like, here's the thing. If he
If
was
that's
trying,
a work, it's a different thing.
yeah. If it's a work, it's a different thing. I mean, I think we all know now it's not. So, man, like, what a fucking douche. What a douche. I don't know. Yeah, like he was always a dickbag. But I tell you this, even though I flew out with a couple of WWE guys to watch his fight in Cleveland, and our dumbasses all got drunk enough to fucking bet on him, and boy, was that a fucking mistake. And just like, man, and I wanted to root for him when we went to UFC. I really did, because I was like, hey, man, it's one of us. We're going in there. We're showing him what's up, and then I realized real quickly, oh, yeah, this guy never worked out a day in his life. This guy's only wrestling throughout his life has been with his emotions. So, like, how is he going to go out there and do anything? And they gave him a fucking tomato can. He got murdered. He got humped in the middle of the goddamn ring.
Yeah, he got pumped twice, and it's just like, it's just, I don't know, it's ridiculous.
It was satisfying.
I'm sure it was for a lot of people, man. I think that a lot of like people back in WWE were sort of sitting back and just going, "You think pretty highly of yourself, don't you, pal?"
Yeah, man, that shit ain't no joke. But like here's the thing too. Like, how was the backstage? How was the company idea not to make this guy work? Of course, you want to, like, dude. They had a big bump when that motherfucker was on pay-per-view. So like it's like they were giving him every opportunity to not suck for the first couple fights. Like, they want, like, not that UFC's fixed. I mean, maybe it is, who knows? But there's no way that they didn't want him to win. They wanted him to win. They got a big bump from pay-per-views. So like, they gave him a fucking tomato can and he still got his ass kicked.
It's just he showed like he had no natural ability or skill.
He's got absolutely no natural ability or skill.
Like, I think that there's people that can go and train MMA, and there's people that can go and have pro fights. You could be good at like hitting mitts and hitting a bag, but when you are starting getting, or having like sparring sessions, you can have great moments in those. But when you're going in there and having an actual fight in front of a crowd, and you know what, especially like at the volume of what he did for his first two fights,
right?
You know what I mean? But
that's an excellent trainer. He had an excellent trainer. And that, hearing that, and like they were like really secretive about letting you know how his training and shit was going. So, and because I was like trying to read up on as much as I could, because I was legitimately, even though he was a douchebag to us back in the day, I was still rooting for CM Punk.
Yeah. Well, he's, as you said, it's still one of the boys, right? So,
right.
It's just, it is what it is, man. He's back in wrestling now for the time being. Who knows where he's going to be, but.
I mean, like I read somebody's comment was like, yo, back in the day when people didn't like each other, we just put them in a feud with each other and let them beat the fuck out of each other and sell tickets. Like, yeah, like, why are you suspending people? Like, let them go out there and fight for, fucking. And then we all know that there's some realism to what the fuck these guys are doing right now.
100%. Remember Lita versus Edge. Edge versus Matt Hardy back in the day.
Absolutely. And here's the other thing too. I'm sure there were so many other things like that back in the day that we didn't hear about as fans, even with dirt sheets. So, because at the end of the day, we are not only athletes, but we're martial artists in a sense. And I think that's lost on a lot of the new generation, is that, back when I'm not back in my day, but in the early 2000s, I was one of the smallest guys there. I was getting my fucking ass kicked. I was wrestling. Every match I had was against guys who were 300 pounds or more. Like the idea with me was little Mikey Whipwreck, little motherfucker. But hey, here I am, 16, 17, running my mouth like I'm fucking some sort of dope ass dude. And they were literally beating the shit out of me so I wouldn't come back. And I'm so stupid. I'm like, yeah, look, I'm tough. I can take this shit. You know, like, I didn't get injured, but like, bro, arm drags, chops, fucking power bomb. You're like, they're trying to beat the shit out of me. And that's just how it was. You know, like you had to be tough. And all of us students, which there were 12 of us that were 16 to like 21 at the time, we'd all have like shoot tournaments at the end of practice. Cause like we were all legitimately athletic combatants, right? Fighters, wrestlers. Like, you know, we knew how to like fuck somebody up. And, you know, I don't know. I'd like to see sometime, you know, like somebody gets so pissed off that they just fucking put somebody in a hole for real. You know, like that, not that anybody deserves that, but if you deserve that, like,
I think now like promoters probably wouldn't put two guys or two people in the ring with each other that have a legitimate beef, because it's like that.
Why?
All right, let me put it to you like this. All right, let me put it to you.
I hear you, but like, why?
All right, let me put it to you like this, right? You have a beef with like this wrestler over here, okay?
Okay.
You guys go.
Let's just say Danny DeManto. Let's just go. Danny.
Right, let's say you and Danny DeManto, you guys have a beef. You guys go in there, and you guys have to have a match. Shit goes sideways. You throw a punch, or Danny throws a punch, knocks the other person out with one punch. You've then taken away, because then how does the next person that goes out and has a wrestling match, or the next two guys go, or the next two people go out and have a match, they throw a punch. It's like, well, this guy didn't get knocked out.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And then
have you ever seen Necro Butcher wrestle?
Yes, I have.
Okay, dude. I know he has been not knocked out, knocked down. You know, that motherfucker throws real ass punches. There's several wrestlers out there that throw real ass punches. How do people follow that? It's not a very good argument. I'd love to hear a better argument about that, because here's what's up. You got two guys that are going out there that don't like each other. Well, they still want to put on a show. Okay. Now, if they're stupid, they'll go out there and stab somebody like New Jack. But if they're smart, they will go out there and, I don't know, put it in a little snug. There's ways to, you know, put a little bit of stank on some shit. There's ways to, you know, throw a little motherfucker in there a little bit harder. There's ways. But if somebody would go out there and like really start swinging a chair at you or something like that, or fucking come at you with a taser or some shit like that, like that's crossing the line. But there are definitely ways to put two guys that legitimately have beef, don't like each other, you know, like despise each other. Somebody fucked the other dude's wife. You know, when Kurt Angle and Jeff Jarrett fought because Jeff stole Kurt's legitimate ass wife, this shit that happened. You know what I'm saying? Like that happened, and then they wrestled each other. Like, did either one of them break their neck in the ring? Did they make money? Absolutely. So to take a legitimate beef and, hey man, it got me hook, line, and sinker. You know, like, and not that I was like, oh, they're going out and shooting, but like straight up, man, you got two guys that don't like each other, and now it's known publicly, and you don't capitalize on that. Are you fucking stupid? You know, like, I don't know.
But do you think that shit could get like out of control in that situation at points?
Yeah, but guess what? Okay, we're trained fucking fighters. You know, if it's getting out of control, I'm gonna grab an arm bar and say, hey, what are we doing right here? Because if you want to pop off right now, you're about to tap out for real. You know, and I've seen many matches go like that. I've seen, you know, a lot of them are in front of, like 30, 40, 50 people. And, you know, you just got guys that are going out there thinking they're bigger, tougher shit than they are. But, you know, I don't think that it happens on any type of bigger scale these days, because everybody is scared to piss somebody off. Everybody's scared. Oh, if I say this, it might piss this person off. It might make that person mad. Man, fuck that shit. You know, like, I'd like to give you a good example of comedy, but I don't want to fucking get myself canceled right now. Doing stand-up comedy, you have a lot more license to say shit that you couldn't say in public right here or in public on the street, you know. And like, I don't know, man. Like with wrestling, if you're not out there pushing the line, seeing what you can and can't do, you know, if something you do today might not, you know, might not get you canceled 10 years from now, then did you push the line enough? And that's what I think really excites people, is pushing the line, making them feel something, making them like blur the lines of reality. You know, like you know, I don't know. I don't know.
People like dirt, man. People like dirt. They like controversy, and they want to see what controversial and people like that are going to say and what they're going to do.
You're right. I mean, like, you know, we're all afraid to, you know, in wrestling for real, everybody's afraid to hide their feelings. Everybody's friends. Everybody's, oh, they're a bunch of, oh, look, I agree with just the popular opinion. Like, nobody's got real opinions. Nobody's got real opinions. And if they do, you ain't gonna fucking hear about it. And it seems that anybody that has an opinion is like, oh, well, somebody could not agree with that opinion. It's like, hey, man, fuck you. What makes us all individual people is that we all have individual opinions. And if we all have to think and have to act like we think and feel a certain way, that, you know, and then it comes out later that, you know, that you're molesting 16 women like Joey Ryan, you know what I'm saying? Like there's just, in wrestling, people are afraid to be themselves, and that shit sucks. And that's nothing that we deal with over at XPW. You know, like, people aren't afraid to be themselves. People aren't afraid to have opinions, and it shouldn't pigeonhole you to be something, you know, to be labeled as something. I don't know, man. But getting back to the, you know, standing out and, you know, and being real, man. I think that you know, if there are beefs out there, we should get these people in the ring to fight each other. It's going to make it more interesting for everybody.
Because, well, that's, I can see your point as well, because I think a lot of ways as well, like, people will go to social media and talk shit about people. It's like, you know, where it's like, I've seen this saying where it's like, people today need to realize that their online balls are going to get their real life teeth knocked down their throat. You know what I mean? Or like they've given this false sense of reality where it's like, you will get punched in the mouth for the dumb shit that you say.
I've smacked plenty of motherfuckers right in the mouth, you know. And, you know, sometimes it comes down to that, you know. It's like, hey, man, you know, this is you know, this is some real life shit, you know. Like, hey, you're not gonna say that shit to me in real life and not expect me to do something about that, you know. Like, it's, you know, this the back in the day, it was a telephone tough guy, now it's the typing tough guy, whatever, you know. Like, yeah, you're gonna say some shit, like, okay, man, you know, like, hey, please say that to me, because that's disrespectful, that's crossing the line, and I'm not scared to do something about that.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's standing up for yourself in a lot of ways.
That's absolutely what it is.
Yeah, and it's not being bullied. It's standing up for yourself and saying, "Hey, fuck you. You can't get away with that shit with me."
I've smacked plenty of people in the face for saying some fucked up shit.
Yeah, I mean, you know, do you feel like that's put you in a situation to be labeled difficult to work with by certain promotions or certain people?
Label it, baby. Label it. Everybody's gonna get labeled by somebody. You ain't gonna be able to please everybody every time. So, you know, if you dig what I do, cool. If you don't, fucking buy a ticket to and watch a shit show. So, you know, like, you know, people told me I'm a very polarizing person. So, you know, whatever, you know, like, my grandpa told my mom, and my mom told me, you're the luckiest person in the world if you have 5 real friends, 5 people that you can count on, you know. And I'm a person that truly does keep my circle tight. There aren't very many people that know much about me, Michael Gordon, the person, you know, and I keep it like that. There's no reason that I spend a lot of my time that I'm not doing shit behind closed doors, you know, with my wife, who I love and enjoy so much, and our 2 cute little chihuahuas, you know. And, you know, if you think that you know me, then you definitely don't know me, because you see what I put out. You know, social media is not a real place. You know, Dirty Ron McDonald is not a real person. You know, I am, an extension of me is Dirty Ron McDonald. And at the risk of sounding schizophrenic, you know, that's a character that I play. You know, like, it is and it isn't. You know, like, who I am is definitely, you know, turned up to 11 is Dirty Ron McDonald. But like I like to spend my time privately. I don't want to put too much of myself out there, and I think that's how that needs to be.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that that's kind of what it is. It's like social media, as you said, it isn't a real place, and
Fake.
people put out there what you want to see. And I think that that's the thing. At the end of the day, you don't really know who somebody is because it's what they put out and what they perceive to you or the public or to people in general is what that they're prepared to put out. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even, you could be best friends with a motherfucker for 20 years and not really know who the real mother behind that fucker is behind closed doors. You're never really going to know, because I think at the end of the day, people, as I said, will put out what they want to put out. And, at the end of the day, when they're laying in bed, closing their eyes, they're the ones in their own heads.
Without a doubt, let me tell you this too. I learned early on the power of persuasion and the power to manipulate people's emotions early on. And, if anybody thinks that, here's a little secret. If anybody ever thinks that when I popped off on Brett or when I said this or did that, that wasn't calculated, thought about, pros and cons lists were made, you're out of your mind. Everything I do is premeditated. And I learned early on to understand the probability and the possibilities of most outcomes for every action that I have, because every action has a reaction, right? But to think that I'm a wild, crazy, uncalculated, unhinged person, you don't know me, motherfucker. Everything I do is very calculated. I realize the effect that I have on people. And, if you ever expressed emotion for something I did or said, I got you, motherfucker.
That's it, man. But it is that time of the show for Guess the Aussie Slang. How we're going to work this out
Guess the Aussie Slang. Okay, now here's what's going to get me canceled. First, let me ask you, what is your favorite racial slur?
I
don't answer that. Don't answer that.
I don't have
I do that in my comedy show, and you'd be surprised when people are like, this, that.
Oh, I can imagine. But how this is going to work, I'm going to give you an Aussie slang word or a slang phrase. The words I'll put in a sentence so it's easy for you to understand, and you tell me what they mean. Okay, so if you get one right, we'll give you a round of applause. If you get one wrong, you get the buzzer. Okay, you ready to get this started?
I'm going for entertainment value over accuracy here, so let's do it.
All right, let's do it. Okay, first one is stubby. Hey, mate, you fancy having a stubby?
I mean, that's got to be a small little dick, right? Oh, man. You set me up with that shit.
A stubby is a bottle of beer, like a
how can you say stubby, man? Your Foster's getting fucking things are like a whole goddamn 2 liter or some shit.
We call them long necks, and no one drinks Foster's here in Australia.
Is that right?
Yeah, like can't even get it in bottle shops here.
Does the toilet go the other way for real though?
Yeah, bro, for sure. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So next one is we're gonna go for is skull. Hey mate.
Wait, spell it.
Skull. SKULL.
Okay, yeah. Go ahead. What's the sentence?
All right. Hey mate, we'll go in a second. Just let me skull this.
Oh, your skull. Take it to the skull. Just fucking slam a beer.
Yeah, that's correct. There you go. We'll give you it.
I skull. That's what I call when I get a blowjob. I'm like, yo, take this scully real quick.
Oh wow. Okay. Next is piss up.
Piss up.
Hey Ron, you want to come over to my joint? We're gonna drink some piss and have a good old piss up.
Oh, that's just getting hammered. Getting hammered with your boys.
Yeah, baby. We're gonna be drinking.
I drink a deck of piss. I drink a deck of piss. Right? What was that whole song? That's where I learned that shit back in the day. I don't know.
All right, we got it. Okay. We got some more. Okay, next one is rooted.
Rooted. Okay. All right.
That is rooted.
Man, what a fucking great sentence.
Okay. Oh wow, look at that. That's pretty rooted.
Same shit. All right, here we go. Let's try this. rooted. That's fucked up. It's like it's below the ground. It's like some sub part. Like it's that's gross. It's bad. It's rooted. I don't know. It's shitty.
Yeah, like
Is that right?
like rooted means like it's fucked, it's broken, or you
Okay.
can say like, oh man, I've had just such a long week, I'm completely rooted, which means
Rooted, like yeah, you're planted. You're fucking. You're locked in the ground. You done, bro.
yeah,
Right?
exactly,
Right. Okay.
exactly. All right, so we got a few more. Okay, so this one is budgie smuggler, and I'll put it in a sentence. Oh, my dad just turned up at my house to go for a swim. He's wearing his budgie smuggler.
Oh, fucking your banana hammock. Your fucking little fucking swim trunks for your fucking
Yeah, Speedo. We call them a budgie smuggler because budgies are like a little bird here in Australia, right? And like when you get out of the water wearing a Speedo, it looks like you smug. Anyway, you know what I'm saying. Okay. So all right, we still got a few more. Okay, so how's this one? Would you like a sanger?
Say it again.
Are you hungry? Would you like a sanger?
A sanger. Oh man, what all fucked up food do you guys eat down there, man? Do you like a hot dog? It's like a hot dog.
We call it a sandwich, like a
sandwich.
Yeah.
A sanger.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So here's another one. Dead set. Are you fucking dead set?
Are you like for sure? Are you 100%?
Yeah, I'll give it. It's like, are you serious? Like, are you for real?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So we got two more. Okay. So these ones are going to be multiple choice.
And wait, how am I doing? Like, am I doing it well against the average person? Is there a championship here?
You're doing well. You're doing well. So
cool.
There's going to be multiple in the next two. So this one is servo, durries, bottle-o, slab, Maccas. Okay? So I'll put them in the thing. Hey, Ron, can you swing past the servo, get me a pack of durries, then go to the bottle-o, pick up a slab, and then swing past Maccas before you come to my joint? What have I asked you to go? So first is servo and durries.
All right, say that sentence again because I think I'm close.
Okay, can you swing past the servo, pick up some durries, go to the bottle-o, grab a slab, and then swing past Maccas?
All right, you're going to the gas station to pick up some cigarettes, and you're going by the restaurant to pick up some meat, and then grab some beer on the way back.
I'm going to give you a mixture, all right? Because that's kind of a mix. So servo is a service station. Durries are cigarettes. Bottle-o is a liquor store. And a slab is like a case of beer. And then Macca's, which you should have got this one because Macca's is short for McDonald's.
Oh, okay. Man, I should have gotten that one for sure. All right, so I figured it was food, cigarettes, and beer, and I was like, which one's which?
It's all good. So this is the last one, and this one's going to be a little bit blue, and I figure like this would be okay to say to you. All right, so okay. Hey Ron, have you got a spare? Okay, so the words are going to be Franger, old fella, Sheila, root.
Okay.
Hey Ron, have you got a spare Franger for me, old fella? I just picked up this Sheila and she's keen for a root.
All right, yo, you got some little whore from my old buddy because I got this slut that's gonna get this dick all night.
Yeah, that's it, bro. You got it. That has been Guess the Aussie Slang. Bro, this conversation has been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed it. I think we need to do a part two at some point down the line because I think this has been
without a doubt. Without a doubt. Hey, just wait a couple weeks and I'll say some more outrageous shit. You know, we'll have 16 hours more shit to talk. Dude, this has been so fun. And like you said, unlike most podcast interviews I do, dude, you know, like, hell yeah, 5-star rating on this shit, shooting the shit uncensored, dude. Like, I can't even tell. Like, I don't even know how long we've been on here. Besides, I can see the clock. But you know, like, it was fun, man. You're a great host.
Thank you so much.
You put a lot of time into this shit.
Thank you, man. I do. I appreciate it. Where can everyone follow you on social media, bro, and get some merch and support Fist Combat as well?
Just don't follow me. No, just read the dirt sheets. I'm sure I'll say something stupid in the next couple weeks. But no, for real, at Dirty Ron McDonald on all platforms. I got a lot of my matches on YouTube and shit like that. My Fist Combat promotion has 3 shows every month, 1 on a Thursday, 2 on Saturdays, that we live stream on our Twitch. Everything is at Fist Combat TV. That's FISTCOMBAT TV. Yeah, and I gotta do stand-up comedy and shit too. So whatever. Check out my Instagram probably has like the most videos or whatever on it. So I keep that thing pretty updated. I figured out Facebook's just for old people now, so I'm trying to not spend so much time on social media. DirtyRonMerch.com also, whatever. But more than that, anytime you see me at a show, I got free stickers for everybody all the time, forever. I love taking free pictures. I love hanging out with people. I'll probably drink the alcohol that you buy me as long as it's not whiskey, because I am a pussy drinker. And the reason I have abs at 39 years old is because I only drink vodka. But I will drink your shitty beer wherever you're at and wherever you live. So come out and hang out with me. More than anything, I like having a good time, and I like showing people why wrestling is truly for everybody, no matter what race, religion, sexual orientation you are. No matter where you are in the world, wrestling speaks to everybody. It's the greatest form of entertainment in the world. We are stunt men, we're doing improv, action, drama, comedy, all in one take in our fancy underwear with an audience 360 degrees around us. I found after years and years, wrestlers are the most skilled set of entertainers on the planet. So I'm glad now, in the last 10 years or so, the respect for wrestling and wrestlers is being recognized by the planet, rather than seeing us as some backdoor comic book nerds that like to watch people fake fighting all greased up. I'm glad that wrestling is getting that respect, because it's something I've dedicated my entire life to. So if you like wrestling, I like you. If you ever see me at a show or anywhere, come up and talk to me. I'm the most approachable person in the world, unless I'm at my own show running around like a chicken with my head cut off.
That's it, man. Well, look, thank you again. And guys, make sure you subscribe, like, share, check out XPW Wrestling, and also go and check out our sponsor, Sleeves. Use that promo code MWA Pod to get a 10% discount. And we'll see you guys again very, very soon. Take care. All the best. Peace.